Hi guys and welcome back to another video in my kitchen. This chair is so noisy. Just to make sure you know it's the chair. But thank you for watching another video. As you can probably guess from the title, we're going to talk about abs today and some really common mistakes that I hear and see quite often as an online coach and personal trainer, and just some tips on how to get abs if that is your goal. And before I get into it, please like and subscribe this video if you like it, and it would really support me, and yeah, thanks. So yeah, basically today I want to talk about abs, as I said. I feel like it's one of those things that people want when they start their fitness journey. For me, when I first started my fitness journey years ago, I wanted abs. That was it. I had pictures of amazing abs all over, so as my inspo, which is quite sad now. And I don't really mind as such now, but obviously I feel it was a very like 90s, early noughties like thing when the sort of like skinny era was around. Now, whilst I'm not kind of bashing anything as such, obviously I would always encourage you to not get in any of that old school fad diet stuff, but there is still a lot of like fitness myths surrounding abs from that era that are floating around that people still believe. So that's kind of what I wanted to squash today. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be lean or if you're naturally lean, but for a lot of people it's very difficult to get abs, and I have to say before I start that genetics will play a huge part in any muscle. Like for example, I'm very quad dominant, so for me building glutes is very difficult. Not impossible, but difficult. And same with abs. Some people just get them more visibly really quickly, some people don't. Some people get the lines, some people get an actual six-pack. It totally depends on genetics as well as other things, obviously. So I'm not saying that you can't achieve that, but obviously genetics do play a part, and it is something to be aware of, so not to compare yourself to somebody else. Because that in itself is just not good anyway for anything, but especially when you're looking to achieve abs. So basically back in the day I used to think that eating certain foods would get me abs. What? Like sometimes I'm like, why did I actually believe that? Again, a silly myth that just is flying around. But in terms of what foods to eat, there is no particular food that will give you any muscle. The only way to achieve abs essentially is to get lean. Doing loads of crunches and you know, like trying to spot reduce fat will not help. Again, something that I used to do myself. I used to do hundreds of crunches in my bedroom, like just crunch, 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 crunch every day. No, just no. You shouldn't train any muscle every day. Every muscle needs rest, excuse me, sorry. So yeah, doing loads of crunches to start with, doing loads of ab exercises will not give you abs. Like, yes, train them, but I would not train them more than 3 times a week. As I mentioned, like any other muscle, it needs time to rest, and that rest time is when your muscles, you know, the cells repair and your muscles grow. So it's really important that you do not train abs more than 3 times a week. And you may not even need to train abs at all. If you're doing like compound exercises and focusing on those, bracing your core, really using your stability muscles, you will, if you are leaning out, naturally get abs from them and build a nice strong core. I'd maybe suggest doing a combination of both if this is your goal, but again, making sure that you're getting the appropriate rest between them both. So as I mentioned, you can't spot reduce fat, so again, doing like loads of specific exercises on your abs isn't going to make you lose fat from just that area. You want to be in a calorie deficit so that you can lose body fat, and that is, again, as I say, leaning out to show your visible abs. So yeah, literally, when people say abs are made in the kitchen, it is true in that sense, because you do need to be focused on your diet. Exercise plays a small part, so if you're focusing on no more than 3 bloody hell, got my teeth back in. No more than 3 ab workouts per week, doing your compound lifts, getting enough rest, and then eating in a calorie deficit is how you will get visible abs. Like I say, doing loads of crunches, planks, everything I used to do back in the day just to try and get abs doesn't actually work. And now I don't directly train abs anymore, and I have the most visible abs I've ever had. Even when I've been in a calorie surplus, they're still slightly visible there. Again, that'll come down to genetics, like some people just don't show them that easily, so it is something to keep in mind. But these things will help in terms of building a strong core, which is good anyway. It helps with any, it helps with your back, because those two are antagonist muscles, so they support each other. And I thought I said that wrong there. I don't know why antagonist sounded like it was wrong. When you say a word out loud and you're like, that didn't sound right. And I was like, no, it is. Antagonist muscles, so they work opposing each other. So yeah, basically your back and your core support each other. So if you have a nice strong core, it's going to help keep your back nice and strong. And another common problem that I see is people with back issues. So that can help with that, especially the older you get. You want to have a nice strong body to help fight against signs of aging and things like osteoporosis as well in your bones. So yeah, just something to think about in terms of that. But having a nice strong core will help you with that. And as I say, stabilising muscles, they like your compounds work, your stabilising muscles right in the inner core. And then you can do some common ab exercises like crunches, Russian twists, leg raises, planks, all that sort of stuff, but those alone won't give you abs. So a pretty short video today, but just wanted to go over those in a bit more detail. I'd be curious to know if you have heard any other abs myths below, if you pop them in the comments, and I'd be happy to do another video and go over them. But they're the sort of common ones that I hear quite often still, as I say, as a personal trainer and an online coach. People are like, why is there no abs in there? Like, why am I not training abs? Can we train more abs? Like, yes, it's okay to do, but I feel like they're very boring. Like, I personally don't really like training them. As I say, I focus mainly on my compound lifts, and at the moment I'm not training them at all. But yeah, like, I just every now and again I'll maybe do like a couple of exercises, like I say, no more than 2-3 times a week, and so 2 or 3 exercises. Just like any other muscle group, it needs to get its rest. But yeah, I'd be curious to know if there's any other myths, whether it's abs or anything else that you would like us to sort of bust and uncover, please pop them below. But hopefully you found this helpful and give you a bit more of an insight and detail if having abs is your goal. And also just not to, like the underlying message, I suppose, that I've already mentioned, is not compare yourself to somebody else. Like, say back in the day I used to have pictures of like really lean supermodels, and I know again, like, that's not always really healthy. Like, I've been at my absolute leanest when I very started my fitness journey, like really unhealthily small and under eaten, and I didn't have visible abs compared to now when I eat the most I've ever eaten. And when I do go into a calorie deficit, it's a sustainable, realistic calorie deficit that I can do for like a period of time, but I'm not always eating in a deficit because it's not good for your body. And I have more visible abs now than I ever did back then when I was my smallest. So again, it's important to make sure that whatever you do, and you're doing it in a healthy way and not comparing yourself to somebody else and like who's potentially not doing it in a realistic way. As I say, like, a lot of like models and celebrities in the spotlight might not necessarily be doing that in a realistic and healthy way. Is something just to be mindful of. But your calorie deficit is very specific to you as a person, and also like your background in where you are in your fitness journey can affect like kind of how long it will take for you to see visible abs. As I say, it took me like a number of years, and it wasn't until I sort of increased my calories and focused on my compound lifts that I really started seeing much better abs, and I don't even care about it that much anymore compared to when I used to. I was doing all the wrong things back then, so that's why I wanted to share this video to prevent you from making the same mistakes. But yes, please let me know if you found this one helpful. Sorry, I went off on a ramble as always, a few little underlying messages there. I just always get off on a tangent about something else and forget like what I've actually started this video for. But just those couple of things that I hear very commonly, of like doing loads of crunches and abs exercises, trying to spot reduce fat instead of focusing on a calorie deficit, getting enough rest, and your compound lifts as well. So yes, that's to simplify it. I'll end it there, and I hope you enjoy this one, and I'll see you on the next one.